Hello everyone and welcome to the Downseller Studio. My name is Jen, I'm your host, and today you're joining me for another crafty chat. If you are new to the channel, welcome and settle in. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. My name again is Jen and I'm Boston Jen on Ravelry and Boston Jen 1 on Instagram. And today I'm joined by my friend Ryan. Welcome, Ryan.
Hello.
And where can they find you on social?
I am on Kohler's Crafts on pretty much everything. Instagram, Ravelry, Discord, anywhere you can find me. I'm usually Kohler's Crafts.
Excellent. And that's Kohler's with a K and Crafts with a K, usually.
Correct.
And all of that.
Yeah,
it'll be linked down below. We'll give you links to everything that we're going to talk about today. So if you're new to the Crafty Chats, it's just a really informal, great way for me to catch up with my friends, which will be awesome today because Ryan and I haven't talked in a while. And we just share the projects that we're working on or things we've recently finished. But before we dive into that, why don't we tell them how we met each other? Do you want me to start or you want to start?
Oh,
You go.
So I met Jen in the November of 2007, I think, when I joined Mass General, the hospital where Jen works and I used to work, as a project manager to kind of take parts of Jen's job away from her that she was doing extra, parts from my then boss and parts from our IS team to manage our bed management system. So it was, one of those, like, we need another person to do all of these things. We don't quite know where this job's going to go. So we'll just hire somebody. And it was kind of a joint leadership. So I kind of had two bosses, Jen's boss and my then boss. And it just kind of evolved from there. And it started as just, I joke that Jen was my first work friend that I saw outside of work. Because we all have those like colleagues at work that we consider friends, but like the friendship stays at work. It doesn't kind of leave work. And I guess we have Dan to thank for that.
We do. Well, so we were both kind of brave in that, like, I'm with you. I have a lot of friends that we're just friends at work, but we had started talking about all the different crafty things that we were into and the hobbies that we had. And so I think I invited you down to scrapbook at my house, right? That was our first sort of.
That was the first, yeah. So I think we discovered that we scrapbooked, had done, separately scrapbooked while knowing each other. And then we're like, all right, Jen, you had just moved into the house. And I think I had, kind of followed that house journey with you because it was happening right as we met.
Yeah.
And I think the house was done.
We have a huge dining room table that Dan's dad made. So I said, we have plenty of space. Why don't you just come down? And I think it was a Friday night and we'll scrapbook together after work. And so you came down and Dan must have been out because I don't think he was there the whole time, but he came in at some point and was like, you scrapbook too? Jen's going down to Pennsylvania and she's going to scrapbook for a whole weekend. You should go with her. And I was thinking, I've just started hanging out with this person. What if this is a terrible idea?
I think I remember coming home and telling Frank, so I met, scrapbooking was fun. I met Jen's, boyfriend, Dan. I'm like, I think you'd get along with him, but he invited me to go away with Jen for the weekend. Okay.
Yeah.
And
you did come. And
I know. And
great.
I mean, I did go with you, which was good because like we could share the driving. I think both of us thought it was a shorter drive than like, I don't know. It seemed like
it was a crazy snowstorm of a weekend. It was a little bit, it was an intense weekend, but it was good to have extra company.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting weekend. It was a crash course into some of Jen's scrapbook friends who now, I mean, because of Dan, some of those people are some of my best friends, some of like my closest, friends, in addition to Jen. I mean, that was 13 years ago now. Am I mathing correctly or is it going to be 14? For a knitter, I'm horrible at math.
Same.
That's what calculators are for.
I don't even know how old I am yet. So it's, I've been telling people I'm 41, but I won't be 41 till June. But the year has a 1 in it. So I think I'm that age.
You're already 41 already. It works.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So so anyway,
I'm 43 already. And I'm like, no. You're 43 already. I'm 42. I have almost a whole year of 42 left. Don't take that away from me.
Yeah. I can make myself older. Nobody else can.
Right. Right. Exactly. So yeah, so it just, I think we scrapbooked back then, and then you started knitting
I
first.
started knitting first, and then you were interested, and I feel like I remember you getting some like blue into brown sort of marled yarn from the craft store, and you learned how to make a scarf,
Yeah.
right?
Well, the first was the blue into browns was the scarf you made for me, and I think that was like
Oh.
you could do this, Ryan, but I'm gonna make this for you. But you could really do this yourself.
And it worked because you learned how to knit.
Yeah, clearly never knitted before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us what you're wearing. Speaking of,
sorry.
you definitely learned how to knit.
Hello. So this is the Starting Point by Joji Locatelli. And it has 5 colors, and I used Miss Bab's Yummy 2-ply. And great workhorse of a yarn, just beautiful colors as Miss Babs does. Mm-hmm. And it started, I had picked up, I want to say this brown, and let's see if I can show it better. The brown here.
Yeah.
And the marled bluey browny green, at like one of just like a different festival. And then this pattern was coming out, and it was like the big thing at Maryland Sheep and Wool that year. So I schlepped those 2 skeins down, and I basically handed them to Miss Babs herself. So that was the really cool thing for me. Handed them to her and said, I want to do the Starting Point, because they were doing kits and stuff, but I already had 2 colors that I liked. And she, for those that know the festivals, Mrs. Babs' booth's always crazy. Like, unless you go in like the afternoon on Sunday, I feel like it's the best time to go, but it's also
over.
You picked over. But at any rate, I handed her those 2 skeins, and I said I wanted to do the Starting Point. So she, of course, when Miss Babs goes in the booth, everyone parts, the Red Seas part. Mm-hmm. She comes back out, and I'm holding the 2, and she's doing this with the skeins, and then I would have never picked to put gray with brown personally, but she came out with the silver, this peach, or the seafoamy green, and then this dark gray.
Yeah.
So she came out with those 3 colors, and I was just, take my money, thank you.
Perfect. That's why she's an expert at color, and why she's a great dyer, because she can just see that. I don't know that I would have picked it either, but it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I would have never put and even when they ended up together, they're not really together, because they have that seafoam minty green in the middle, and it works. And it's one of my favorite things for the winter or spring, because you can either wrap it once, twice.
Yeah.
Little arrows and flare, and it works. It keeps you warm if you want it, or keeps the chill off your shoulders. And
yeah, but it's not too heavy,
because I think that's the Yummy 2-ply, which I think is an 80-20, so 80 wool, 20 nylon.
I think you're right.
It's a good base. It's a lot of garter. It's like garter with like a little bit of lace, so it keeps your attention, but can also just be that
you can just go once you get into it.
I
love it.
I called it oldie but goodie, because I feel like it's at least from 5 years. Like, I feel like that, like at least 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think we just looked up the pattern before we started recording, and I think it came out in 2017. So that's 5 years.
That's about 3 years. Time. What are you working on right now?
Well, so I'm not wearing any knitwear, because I'm going to try on something that I just finished, and I figured that would be easier. So I have just finished my 4th Nanaimo cardigan. My niece Sprightly.
Nanaimo addict.
I'm a machine, and now that I've made this one, I need another one. Because it's a good thing I love my niece Riley. I love you so much, because I want to keep this so badly. You cannot even understand it.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Yeah. And I'm also kind of like a little bit like,
Riley,
you can wear the same size clothing. Like, I remember her little.
I know. She'll be 13 on the 8th.
Oh my god.
And this is meant to be oversized, so it will be more oversized on her than it is
Oh my
on
gosh, but it's
me right now. But,
perfect.
so this is the fourth one that I've made. I've made, I think, 2 smalls and 2 mediums now. The one that I knit for myself was a medium, so it's much more oversized. I can easily like wrap it over itself a lot. And mine is wool. This is Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick. So it's 80% acrylic, 20% wool. It's been through the washer and the dryer. It's perfect for gifting,
Oh
right?
yeah.
But mine is 3 strands of non-superwash wool. It's huge. I made my sleeves really, really long, but I like how the small fits. And especially with like a more like 3/4 length sleeve, I feel like it's pretty versatile.
Yeah, you could almost throw it over, you could wear that to work,
Oh
honestly.
yeah, I would wear this to work for
Yeah.
sure.
Whereas, like, the more oversized, bulky one seems more of like a cozy sit by the fire.
Yes. Yeah, it is. So I think there will be a 5th Nanaimo in my future. I was actually looking online and when I went to the craft store yesterday. But I love this color. I think it's called Stormfront. And I don't know if
Ooh.
it's going to show on the screen, but it's this beautiful light gray. But you can kind of see there's pinks and blues in it.
Yeah, it almost looks purpley in this
Yeah.
lighting.
So
Oh, it's a gorgeous color, Jen. I would
so
honestly just pick up the same.
she picked the color.
No,
We
for your 5th one, maybe make it in the same color for you.
I know, I just might. Yeah, you can sort of
Because
see the
the
pinks
weird,
in there.
yeah.
It's a little more pink
And
than
I'm like,
purple, right? I should just leave it on, but it's all clean. So yeah, I washed this and I put it in the dryer, and that's why it's really great for gifting. My friend Meg leaves hers at school. She's a Montessori teacher, and the one that I made for her, she wears it sort of every day at school depending on the time of day, and she brings it home at the end of the week and washes it. So you can't be there for that. And so that pattern is by Tara Lynn Morrison. It's a paid for pattern. I forget how much it costs. I think maybe like $9. Clearly I've gotten my money's worth out of it.
well, and it also, because it shows its versatility, honestly. Like, you can see how those sizings, fit a 40, what we decide you are, 41-year-old
I'm
woman
41, I think.
and an almost 13-year-old, same size, same sweater. It's gonna look totally different.
Different looks, yeah. So hopefully I'll get a video and or a picture of Riley
Yeah.
wearing it. So I'll share that on the channel so folks can see. But yeah, it's a great project. I would highly recommend it. The instructions are really clear. It's a simple top-down raglan, US 19 needles. So the body of it, literally, it's over before you know it. Yeah, so that's been fun. What have you been working on lately?
So right now, the main thing on my needles, because I've needed more brainless knitting, is a Shop Frock. I think the pattern is by NellKnits, and it's a simple top-down. I liked the increase it's a double increase where you knit through the front loop, or you knit, don't pull your needle off, yarn over, and then knit through the back loop.
Oh,
So it creates almost like this little bubble effect too, and it's going to be impossible to show on this dark yarn, so I'm not even going to try.
and it's a cardigan, a pullover.
Oh, sorry, it's a top-down pullover.
Okay.
Top-down pullover. It's knit. I'm doing it out of the suggested yarn because I liked it. It's Kelborn Woolen's Lucky Tweed.
I was gonna say I love that tweedy effect. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So it's supposedly bulky, which I say supposedly because it doesn't look bulky to me. It feels more like a worsted.
But yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm using size 10.5 needles. It calls for 10. I've graduated, Jen. I don't have to go up so much now.
Excellent. Ryan is a notoriously tight knitter.
But I think as I've gotten more comfortable, I've relaxed quite a bit. So, and using new to me needles that I got off of D-Stash, the Likey interchangeable set. I'm a lover of all things blue, and they have a indigo set I'm usually a Knit Picks person, but this yarn, the tweed was getting hung up a little bit. I needed something a little smoother.
Okay.
So somebody suggested using the Likey, and the Likey are still wood.
Yeah, it's driftwood, right?
Driftwood, I think. There's, you can tell I'm not, I just said, oh, this one will work better. Okay, let me find it on D-Stash, and I did. It was great. So
They
that's
are
what I'm
great.
working on currently. And I'm in the garter bit, so it's perfect knitting for busy time where I can just if I can sit. I'm in that, knit 7 inches part of the pattern, so I don't have to worry about counting rows. I can just pick it up, put it down,
Go round and round.
go round and round and round. But this winter was kind of the year of the hat. So I've
Excellent.
made a lot of hats this year.
All right. Well, let's see a hat. I love hats. I need to cast on a hat maybe this afternoon. So maybe you'll.
So these are all these two that I finished most recently are with bulky yarn. This is, I think it's called the Bodacious hat. I'll have Jen link it up. It was an Instagram find of the pattern, but the yarn is from Andromeda sock yarn, and I had years ago found her on Instagram and kind of jokingly, I loved a lot of her colorways, but I'm not a huge sock knitter. And she was doing mostly sock yarns. And I said, hey, have you ever thought about doing at least a DK or maybe a bulky? And then she started doing DK and bulky. So then this was her Christmas colorway, whose name is escaping me right now. Clearly, I did not prepare well for this, Jen.
Oh, good.
But it's like this, it's got red and green speckles.
Yeah.
But it doesn't scream Christmas, even though it's red and green speckles.
It's beautiful. I love the colorway, and the hat is like, it's simple, but there's like what looks like a slip stitch kind of detail that runs
it's
up.
just a slip stitch detail, so it was easy knitting. And then I love how neat the crown decreases looked. Like it's just hold on, I'm really horrible at this. Clearly,
okay.
There we go.
I can see them.
Yeah. So it just the way it kind of gathered up. And it was like an every other row type decrease. And at first I was like, is this going to work out? Like, I'm going to end up with weird number of stitches at the end. Nope.
It all worked. Is it more fitted like a beanie, or it's slouchy?
It's in between.
Okay.
On me. Cause it's just kind of like.
That's kind of like my perfect though. I like that. Like it fits and it wants to stay in place.
Yes.
You got a little.
Yep. And if I had a ponytail or a messy bun in, I could fit it under, which is what I. So I didn't like it could handle a pony, a bun or ponytail, but also still stay on.
Nice. And so did you say the name of the hat pattern? Do you remember?
No, but I'll look it up real quick because it'll drive me nuts if I don't.
Yeah, I love, that's kind of my favorite kind of hat pattern, and that's kind of some of the hats that I've designed have the same idea of like, mostly it's simple, and when you get the idea of it, you can just keep going and you don't have to look back at the pattern all the time. Yeah. I really like a hat pattern like that, and where you have to think a little bit, or maybe when you get to the crown or whatever, it's, you're looking at your notes a little more, but you're not hanging on every single line of the pattern. It's kind of fun.
I think it is called the Squarshy Hat.
Ooh.
Yes, Squarshy Hat. It's a free pattern on Ravelry.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll link to it and everything else. Down below.
And I do remember the pattern now. It is a not safe for work pattern. She tells it like it is in the pattern, and it's hilarious.
Oh, now I really want to make it.
Yeah, and it's just this. It's a simple, twisted rib bottom, slip stitch, kind of ribbing.
Yeah.
Great little crown decreases, and you get to laugh while making it because her instructions are hilarious. It's all coming back to me now, clearly. What about you? What are you working on?
Well, so speaking of like addictive and fun and kind of just easy to go, I just finished and washed a blanket. Isn't this cool?
Oh, that's beautiful.
So it's a baby sized blanket. The pattern is the Hydrangea stripe blanket by Lucy of Attic 24. And I used lots of like scraps of stuff that I had in my stash. I used some Vanna's Choice, and then a lot of like the more brightly colored, like the greens and the maroons and the salmons and stuff, were Knit Picks Brava minis that I purchased like several kits of. That I forget it was maybe like 12 grams or something that it would use for a row. And so I could just use little bits of them to like mix in with the more neutral colors, which I had more of.
Yep.
And I just love it. It's basically a one row repeat that you're just doing back and forth. And the way that the pattern is written, it calls for casting on more stitches than I did. As it turns out, this is meant to be the width of the blanket, but for a baby blanket, this is quite large. And so that's the length of the blanket for me, which it doesn't really matter. But
so who's going to be the lucky recipient of this blanket?
So this is going to my cousin Mike and his wife Jess had their first baby in January. So actually, this works out well because my mom has bought stuff for them. So I'm going to bring this to my mom's when we go there for Easter dinner, and then we can package everything up to give to them. So yeah, I love it. It washed up really well. Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
I really liked in terms of the process of it, not having like a set pattern to follow in terms of the color. It was just like, what looks good here? Okay, go, and not have
a basket of the colors next to you and just.
Yeah, just kept going through. And I tried to balance like lighter and darker or richer or more saturated colors with some more even. And I think it came out, relatively balanced. And
it looked planned, but not. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of the look that I was going for. I cast on with the gray. And so I did the last row in gray. And then I did a single crochet border with the gray and then a single crochet with the pink, which is not what the pattern calls for. I think it calls for like another like double crochet and like slipping down into the row below or something. I forget what that's called.
I think it looks
like stitch, but
me and crochet don't get along really. So
yeah, I get it. So I liked that so much that I cast on another one. So here we go. This is actually some like this pink is different. This green, oh no, actually, I think maybe almost all of these colors are different. I went to Joann's the other day and I got some different colors of Vanna's Choice and also their Big Twist soft yarn, which is a little bit thicker. So I actually cast this blanket on 3 times or 4 times. The first time the cast on was too tight. The second time the cast on was too tight. And also I realized that some of that Big Twist yarn is just a little thicker and needed a bigger hook. So then I ripped it out again. Then I cast it on and did double crochet for the setup row. And it really called for single crochet, but it was written in UK terms. So UK double crochet is US single crochet, which I know. And I knew the pattern was written in UK terms, but it was nighttime and I was tired. And so I didn't have to rip out my foundation chain, but I had to rip out that first row. And now I'm back on track. But I like it better. The other modification that I made is when you cast on this one, because the pattern calls for you to go across and back with one color, the stripe at the beginning of this is really too thick because I did that foundation row and the first row of clusters in the gray. Whereas on this one, I did the foundation in green and then switched colors to the pink for the first set of crochets, which I think I like better because for the rest of the blanket, you're not doubling up anywhere. I mean, it's not a huge deal.
No, it almost looks like like you just did 2 stripes there.
Right.
The kid's not going to notice.
Nobody will care. But if I can make it better on the second one and a little more consistent,
yeah,
then
I agree with the analysis and I agree with the reasoning. And I looking at them next to each other, sure. I mean, that's going to grow with the kid too. I just saw how kind of big it is. Like,
yeah, it's a good like lap blanket size. I would make it slightly larger and slightly longer if it were for me. But yeah, this will definitely grow with her. I think this is going to be one of those things. It looks so good on the back of my couch. It's like Riley's sweater. Now I need one for me.
Yeah, no, but I like the changes you made for that cat, like on the new one. And it sounds like you are going to potentially be more purposeful with your colors on this one.
Do you know, I'm not sure. I have a more limited palette because I did buy yarn specifically for this one. So I got a darker kind of maroon that goes with the
Yep.
lighter pink kind of one. And then I have, this is what I had cast on with, and then I have a darker to
Ooh,
go with
those
that.
colors are gonna be pretty together.
Yeah, so this one might end up being more intentional. Let's see, I can probably pick them all up
Yep.
together. You see
Oh,
those?
that's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I might end up having a repeat, a predictable repeat of colors on this. Guess we'll just see. Time will tell.
But yeah, I like the foundation of that one. Third time's the charm, but I can see the like, yeah,
Yeah,
learn each time.
it was worth it. It's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah. All right, that's my crochet adventures. What else have you been up to lately?
Really work, unfortunately, but
Okay.
that's the other thing that I'm trying to get back into finishing was
Mm.
this is the silver lining sweater by Knit Wear Love, Jen Steingass. And I, as you can see, I'm on waist needles because I got one sleeve done, went to finish the other sleeve. It was one sleeve was way too big. Even though I thought I did everything the same, it might have been one of those like I counted wrong or like my decreases were the same number, but I think I started with too many stitches. So then obviously when you're decreasing, it's not gonna
Yeah, it's
match
just gonna
something
stay
up.
proportional to that.
Right.
Yeah. So
So
you had to rip back that whole sleeve?
I had to rip back the entire because I couldn't figure out where the like I started just ripping out more intentionally to like each marker and then counting, and I
Too much.
never got the same. So at that point, I was like, just
Yeah.
rip it, frog it.
It'll be worth it to have it
It
done
is.
well. Hold up that yoke so that people can see. I've
Uh,
seen this in person. The way that that yarn gradiates in the color work section is intensely beautiful.
this was one of those single skeins that sits in your stash because you don't want to make like you're like I don't want to use it. It's special. It's this. It's that. And I discovered the love of color work. And when I went to a retreat that I've gone to a couple times that Sun Valley Fibers puts on called the January Thaw, I brought that special skein, and I was
Oh,
like,
great
I
idea.
think I want to do a color work sweater. So then I found a colorwork sweater that called for that much of a skein, like that yardage amount of yardage for the color work, and got their ambassador, which is like a navy. It's like it reminds me of like the actual navy pea coats, that like really deep saturated blue navy, and it just made that orange and the lighter blues pop like you could
Yeah,
not believe.
it's
And
beautiful, Ryan. You're gonna be so excited to have that.
I when I tried it on with the one sleeve, I had Frank take a couple of pictures, and he's like, "You look." I'll send one to you if
Oh, great.
you can include.
Thank
Um,
you.
but it looked kind of weird with one sleeve, but
Yeah,
like
that would.
I appreciate her patterns a lot because you can tell they were truly test at all sizes and not just graded. Because like so, this actually
I love
fits
that.
properly with the right ease. I swatched. I did all the things I'm supposed to. I want to say it is written for worsted, but I got gauge with DK, so that's what I used.
Okay.
And a lot of her, from what I understand now that I've knit more of like knit her sweater and like have been kind of picking up my next one.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of her worsteds are a light worsted that she like that she used. So that's why my gauge on the DK works really well.
Awesome. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I've been craving to knit another color work sweater. I haven't done one since probably this time last year when I finished my Soldotna crop. And I'm really been eyeing Jennifer Steinglass patterns because they're beautiful. And I haven't looked in detail. I think I have a couple in my favorites, but it's good to hear that they're size inclusive and that she's doing it really thoughtfully. I think that's so
Yeah.
important. And I would like to support designers that are doing that, even if I don't necessarily need that size. I think it shows that when people are showing up to buy that pattern, that they appreciate designers that do that.
Yep. And what I like about them is like you could have easily, based on the chart, used different colors in there too.
Oh, fun.
Like
Yeah.
you don't have I chose to use one skein of a gradient, of a variegated speckly kind of yarn, but you could have easily decided you wanted this part in red, and the middle in yellow, or
Yeah.
the charts are really easy. And that's really my second color work project.
Yeah.
It's just easy. Like I've learned, like, I think I said I was never knitting socks. I knit socks now. Color work seemed hard. I figured that out. Like, it's just.
Yeah, and that's such a good I've talked about that plenty of times on this channel too, is I was never gonna knit socks either. I didn't understand why people did it, and I wasn't gonna crochet, and I didn't get why people did that, and it's a testament to that with knitting, you already have most of the skills. And I think that makes trying something new, like color work is just knitting. Like it's literally not even purling most of the time. Yes, you're changing colors, but like you have 98% of the skill that you need to try that thing. And I think that's why it can sometimes be easier to say, all right, I really want to try, I want to make that pattern. So I'm going to try to level up and try that thing that I said that I didn't think that I could do, you know?
I think just as you knit more, you gain more confidence. Or you look at something and you're like, that looks so complicated. And then you realize it's just slipping. Like this hat, this was the other hat I had grabbed to show off a little bit. I'm waiting for my pom-pom to come, so I've kind of kept the ends here. But all this is slipping stitches.
That's so
like
cool.
It's not, and it looks so fancy,
complicated.
And I think that's something that, like, if I can do this, anybody can do it. Like, and it's just, this was another, I think it's like the zigzag beanie. Another Instagram find. I find a lot of my inspiration on Instagram. And this is on the round, and it's her narwhal colorway, and then naked.
Nice. And it almost looks like you changed colors in that darker narwhal color. People might think that you changed colors, but it's just the way that color kind of gradiates. And
it's just, yeah, exactly. It's just the way the color gradiates. And I mean, you can even look, even the back looks cool. Like even the reverse, the way this pattern is written.
Yeah, I think slip stitch like floats are really cool looking.
Yeah.
And some patterns have those on the outside on purpose. Like you're slipping with the yarn in front, like on the right side of the work to give you that cool effect.
Yeah.
That's really fun. Is that another bulky weight one?
This is her super bulky. So it's like a 100-gram skein is only like 110 yards ish. But she's out of Maine, and right before she's up, she has an open studio. She has a studio in Rockport or Rockland, Maine.
Okay.
Rock something.
Okay.
I get confused with towns, and then the pandemic hit. So as soon as she has open studio, I want to make the drive up there. Maybe we could have another crafty adventure.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me know when you go, because that would be a fun little trip.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like she's ready to open her studio up to people yet.
Yeah.
Which you know what? I think everyone's going to have to figure out on their own time when they're ready to like be with other people again.
Fair enough. Well, speaking of really easy color work, I'll share with you my last project for this episode.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also gifting this tomorrow. Another easy way to add color is to buy self-striping yarn.
Yes.
You don't have to do any of the work.
Nope. Dyer did it for you.
Exactly. These are Patons Kroy, one of my favorites, and this is the Sidewalk chalk colorway.
Oh my God, it's so springy and fun.
I know. I feel like they look like Easter socks, which is perfect because they're for my friend Chris, whose birthday is on Easter this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I used Patons Kroy, a different colorway for the heels. I used the green stripe rag. Actually, you can see it a little better on this one. Yeah. So you can see it's kind of a marled with the gray mixed in with the greens and blues. But I think it looks, like it goes together.
You can tell it's different, so you can notice that the heel and toe are there kind of thing, but like it still works.
I should have grabbed blockers. They're actually still wet because I washed them last night and they're not quite dry. When we finish up, I'm going to head upstairs and put them by the fire. Hope that they'll dry in time for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure. I throw them on some blockers in front of the fire. It'll be good.
Do the trick.
That should do the trick. Well, it was good to chat with you.
This was so fun. Thank you for hopping on. And it was great to see all of the crazy stuff that you're knitting. I feel like you've been all over it. And you've been busy, like you said. So sometimes knitting has to take a back seat, but you've been working on some cool stuff.
It's definitely, I'm learning to find those moments and just making sure I have projects on the needles to match those moments. And I think that's something I've learned over the last year is like, if it takes 3 years to make a project or 3 weeks, it doesn't matter. Like you need to have that project that's matching your mood or your speed at the time. And sometimes it's just, knitting in, 7 inches of garter, and other times it's color work. It just kind of just depends on your mood.
Yeah, totally. Sometimes you need to dive into something that like, I just really want to focus on this and not worry about whatever else might be going on in the rest of the world and just really get into that meditative state and focus on the stitches. And then other times it's just running around for days.
Yeah. Oh, what colorway is that you just held up?
This is,
I'm like, those are my colors, Jen.
I'm not holding out on you. This is Knit Picks Felici in the Whale Song Colorway.
Whale Song. Okay.
Yeah. And then I used some Knit Pick Stroll in navy for the heel.
Perfect.
And it will have the same thing on the toe. That's actually the second sock.
Oh, almost done.
Almost done.
That whale, I love that whale. Whales?
Whale Song.
Whale Song. Okay.
Whale Song.
Might have to.
I might be placing an order soon, so I will let you know if I do.
Yeah, maybe that's a better way to do it. I won't initiate the order, but if you initiate an order.
And I don't even have to feel guilty because I'm placing an order for my Aunt Florence who needs some Knit Picks Brava bulky for some hats that she's making. And the wine colorway has been on back order forever. And I've been like stocking it like it's my job because on Florence. So when that comes back in stock, I will be placing an order. So I will look for this too.
Maybe just if it's there, surprise me, throw 2 skeins of that in there. Right. Maybe we'll have to have another outdoor knit night on the porch.
Yes. Yeah. I'm looking forward to warmer weather so we can get back to seeing each other in person. But Zoom is a good alternative. So
honestly, like it's been definitely what has kept this slightly extroverted introvert happy.
Indeed. I hear you. Well, it was great to catch up with you today. Thank you again for coming on. Thank you all for watching. Again, we'll link to everything down below. Definitely go check out Ryan's projects on Instagram, and she shares all sorts of fun stuff, including her cutie dog.
Unfortunately, we lost him in October, but he had a wonderful full life with us, and he definitely still pops up on my thread periodically in good memories. So
yeah, it's a fun little highlight in there.
Yep. All right. Well, take care.
You too. Bye-bye.